How should we look at God's law? That's a question Christians have tried to answer for a long time. Some people look at God's law like it's an electric fence. It's something created to keep us within certain bounds. And if we venture too close, or certainly if we try to transgress those bounds, it'll zap us. Other people, usually not Christians, but there are a few, actually look at God's law like a prison, like something to keep us hemmed in from the joy that we could have if we actually get outside of it. But Scripture presents God's law in a different way, particularly the commands for how we should live in the way that we love God and love our neighbor. The psalmist in Psalm 119 views God's law as a life-giving fountain. It's a gift, a guide, and a path. Psalm 119, verses 14 through 16, says, I have rejoiced in the way of your testimonies. That's a key word there when he says the way. That's a reference to the path of your testimonies, as much as in all riches. I will meditate on your precepts and have respect unto your ways. I will delight myself in your statutes. I will not forget your word. God's law is not a prison. It's a path. It is a way. It is the path that we see that teaches us where life is. It leads us to life. Solomon picks up on this in Proverbs chapter 6, verses 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Even what we think of as the 10 Commandments are in fact not commandments in the Hebrew, but they are 10 words, 10 ways of instruction, 10 different things that teach us how we can walk in honor of God and in loving our neighbor. In John 12, verse 50, Jesus said, and I know his, referring to the Father's commandment, his commandment is life everlasting. And whatsoever I speak, therefore, even as the Father said unto me, so I speak. If you're dying, and you go to a doctor and the doctor tells you that there is hope, but the hope is only if you do certain things. You have to follow what he says for you to do. First of all, he tells you you have to drink this particular medicine every day. But you don't like the taste of that medicine. And he tells you you won't like it at first. At first it's not going to taste good, but over time, if you take this, your tastes will change and you will come to like it. In fact, it will come to be your favorite thing. Well, is that a good or a bad command? And you have to take it, he says, for the rest of your life. So that's the first thing. And then second, he says, you must take a walk either in the mountains or on the beach on a regular and consistent basis. This is for your life, he said, and you must do it in order to live. And third, he says you have to change your diet. You will now add to your diet a piece of homemade bread with butter and jam every day. So, is this a prison or is it a blessing? It all depends on how you look at it. If the patient says, I don't want to take a walk in the mountains or on the beach because I've got so many other things to do. There's a series on Netflix that I've got to finish. I don't have time for a walk. I don't like homemade bread. It's not as good as the white bread that I get from the store. Well, those are the doctor's commands. But his commands are good. And they yield blessing. They are to give us life. Well, the commands of God are even greater than that. They teach us what it looks like when we enjoy good things.